Good evening, friends. Poor little throaty throat. Y'all know it takes a second for this bad boy to kick in, so I always struggle to recognize when y'all can actually see and hear me. So let me know if you can see and hear me. I was making notations of stuff. Hello. Happy Friday Eve. Actually, happy Friday to me because I'm off tomorrow, which makes me excited. I know that. There we go. See, I know I took better notes than this, or I thought I did. Maybe. Good evening. There we go. I was like, I made notes, not on this, on something else, and I couldn't find them. Scheduling notes. Hello. You're probably like, why are you here? Okay. So, long story short, somebody who follows me on TikTok, I'm so sorry, love, if you're watching, and I cannot remember your name because I don't know whether the person, the original creator, hey, Aaron, I don't know if the original creator, like, deleted the video or what happened. Like, I have no idea what exactly happened, if that was a thing. But I know that you tagged me. I commented on your comment and said, thank you for tagging me. I'll be making a video. But then I watched the TikTok over and over again. And I think that this creator deleted the video because I can still see their page, so they didn't block me. But I had some questions about what content they were sharing in relationship to Texas and ALA. So originally I was going to sit down and do this as a video, but I just got the news about this yesterday. It happened this week. But I just got the news yesterday, and in true fashion of being a parent and a full-time employee of a place, it just was not time-wise. It wasn't going to work out for me to sit down, film, and edit and get this up today. So I thought, why not do this as a live? Plus, I needed some productivity sprints, and so I thought we could do like a mashup of both. So yes, that's what we're doing, just in case anybody was wondering. I'm going to talk a little bit about what just happened in Texas, how I think some disinformation is going out about it because of the way that it's being shared by people on social media, as well as the way that the actual media is sharing this information. Once again, going back to this whole concept and idea about people making content about libraries and not really knowing how libraries work, which is, everybody can have their opinions, but I always get kind of nervous when I think that information is not being shared accurately. So we are going to go ahead and jump in. So I'm going to talk about that a little while. It shouldn't, like, if y'all have questions, it may take a little bit longer, but my plan is to talk about this just for a little while and then do at least 2 45-minute sprints. Does that sound good to everybody? Thumbs up. Are we all on board? Does it sound good to everyone? Yes, no, maybe so. Ashley, I don't really care. Either way, I'm just here for vibes. Either way, it's good for me. I just want to know where y'all are at. Hey, listeners. Lavishly bookish, everything. If Texas could secede from the union right now, I promise you they would. If they had that option, they would be the first. South Carolina did it first. Florida's like, we want all of the glory at this point. So it's weird. It's a whole weird. Liv! I'm so happy you're here. Okay. Thumbs up. Everybody's good. Okay. So here's the tea. Here's the news, which is weird because it's not, I haven't checked today, but when I went to go look for some more information yesterday, it was kind of like very sparse on what information has been shared. In context is everything. So basically, there are some articles, some things being shared that is stating that Texas left the American Library Association. So we're just going to start with that statement. They're saying Texas left the American Library Association. That, my friends, is not, in fact, true. The state of Texas did not leave the American Library Association. I want everybody to get that out of their heads because it's not the state that is leaving. States are not a part of the American Library Association. I guess I should start by saying the American Library Association is a nonpartisan, very large, professional organization. It is voluntary, okay? Nowhere in any guidelines do you have to be a part of ALA. I am not a part of ALA, okay? Because right now, with this economy and the way things work with them paying dues, it is too much out of my own personal pocket, all right? ALA has several different ways that you can be a part of their organization. You can join as an individual, and then within that individual, there are different tiers that determine how much you are paying for membership. It's an annual membership fee, okay? And then they have an organizational membership fee, where organizations, meaning libraries, can foot the bill and their organization can pay to be a part of the American Library Association. If your organization is not a part of ALA, that does not mean that you as an individual cannot be a part of ALA. It is voluntary, okay? So the way that this is being reported, and I think by some people who are kind of trying to distance themselves from libraries, they're reporting it in a way to make it seem like membership with American Library Association is a mandatory thing. That is a lie. And so the way that this information is being shared, it is making it look like, oh, we're separating from them. We made a decision that we're leaving them. And it's like, okay, but it's voluntary. You don't have to be a part of the American Library Association. Secondly, no, it is not a union because I live in a state where we cannot unionize. It's not a union. ALA is a support system, right? Okay. It is a support system. It is a way for librarians and libraries to receive reports, information, support, tools. It is like any other professional organization. That's it. That is it at its core. You get a lot of resources and tools from the American Library Association. So the issue is that the headlines are reading, Texas is leaving ALA. Texas is not, in fact, leaving ALA. Texas State Library is leaving ALA, okay? Which they can do so. No one is saying that they have to maintain or be a part of ALA. Do I think it's an unwise decision? Absolutely, because you are cutting off access to resources, especially if you are paying for your organization to be a part of it. I really do think that that's not a wise decision. But I think that this is almost a propaganda tool to be able to make ALA look bad, because the reason why they're saying that that they've left ALA, and headlines are saying Texas is separate. Texas still has the Texas Library Association, okay? I'm sure that there are plenty of librarians still in the state of Texas that are part of American Library Association. That's not, everybody's membership is not revoked if the state library decides that they no longer want to pay dues. They're making, what they're saying is, we're just not paying. And the reason why they're saying they're not paying is because the ALA president-elect had made a tweet, which I think now is deleted, that basically said that she was a Marxist lesbian. And so they're using this as a way to say that we don't want to be a part of a Marxist organization that is pushing gender ideology on our kids, and we don't want taxpayers' money, which technically it is taxpayer money that is funding these libraries, and they're taking that taxpayer money and paying organizational fees to American Library Association. I don't agree with, I keep saying this, I do not agree with what they're doing. And I feel like this is just another manipulative way for them to take shots at libraries, and specifically the American Library Association, because the American Library Association does not stand for censorship. They do not believe in book banning, book challenging. They believe of access to information for all. So if we want to be for real, okay, this is about, once again, cutting off people's access to information. You're cutting off your librarians' access to information if they are not joining ALA at an individual level. And I'm sure somewhere on the back end, the state library, which probably plays a role in helping fund some other libraries within the state, because that's usually how state libraries work. They do help cover the cost of some of their more like public libraries, depending upon how everything is structured. I'm sure they were pressured. I'm sure that the state, if they receive state funding, I'm sure someone said, if you want to maintain this money coming into your pockets to keep your library up and running, you have to separate from ALA. I am sure that is a conversation that happened behind the scenes. One of the other things that I saw, and this is the TikTok that I ended up watching, multiple, and I actually discussed this with a colleague today, because I said, you know what? I said, maybe I don't know this. I'm doing a live tonight, but this is something I've never heard of. You know, have you, because she's been a librarian longer than me. I said, have you ever heard of something like this before? You know, maybe you can fact check me, because I went looking for this everywhere and I couldn't, to me, it didn't add up. But I was like, well, maybe I'm missing something. And still, if I'm missing something, somebody who's watching this now or watching this on the replay, then fact check me. This is not anything I'd heard of. So I watched this TikTok, and basically another thing that's going around is that because Texas State Library, not the state of Texas, but because Texas State Library, and they have a very long name, but essentially they are just the state library. They were saying that because they decided to leave ALA is closely tied to the American education system, and that by removing one of those major components, because they work very closely together, that Texas high school diplomas would no longer mean anything out the state of Texas. Now, to my knowledge, ALA does not have anything to do with high school diplomas. I saw this on Twitter. I saw this on TikTok, and I was very confused, because I'm like, since when does ALA have anything to do with whether someone's high school diploma is accredited and whether their diploma means anything outside of the state of Texas? To my knowledge, in this moment right now, after digging and digging and digging, and also asking fellow librarians, no one seems to know what the world this person was talking about. Nobody has seemed to like heard of this information before. So once again, if I'm completely ignorant of this, and I mean, I literally couldn't find anything on ALA's website. I couldn't find anything on the internet at all about this information. So I asked the person on TikTok, like, hey, I don't agree with the situation. I don't think it's wise of them to remove themselves from ALA, because state libraries typically help support more local libraries all over the state. And so by taking away their resources, you're almost in some ways cutting resources for those other libraries. And a lot of state libraries get grants and additional funding through ALA. So you can apply for grants and stuff. Like we had something that we just did that we collaborated with ALA through. You know what I'm saying? So there's benefits to being a part of ALA in terms of support, grants, information about like trends that are happening in libraries. And they work very close together to make sure that libraries are doing everything that they can to best serve their communities. And I was very confused, like, where is this? When I tell y'all the amount of digging that I did last night, where I was like, I'm just very confused on where this is coming from. The only thing I can possibly think is that somewhere along the lines, people are confused with ALA accreditation, which happens at the collegiate level. So ALA does accredit library science programs, right? So if you were to go online and look for a library information science program, right, where you're getting your MLS or MLIS, right? What you want to look for and what's most beneficial to you as someone who is trying to enter into a career path as a librarian is you want an ALA accredited program, which is they have a division that does look at programs at universities and colleges, and then they do provide that accreditation. What that does is diversify your employment opportunities, because what a lot of libraries are going to ask you when you apply, especially for those professional, not entry level, but those professional positions where you are classified as a librarian, which I always tell people is kind of interesting, because I think when most people from the public come into libraries, you see all of us as librarians, which is fair. We all are doing the work of librarians. But internally, when we're talking about classification, some people are what we call like library associates, meaning that they are not, doesn't make them any less. Let's go ahead and knock that, because I feel like somebody's going to ask me, does it? No. It just means that they are not, in terms of like level, like we think about like management levels or whatever, they don't have that classification as a librarian. When most libraries post jobs looking for that professional classification as a librarian, their requirement will say a degree from an ALA accredited program. So that's why it's beneficial to go with an ALA accredited program, because they know in terms of the training that you receive, it aligns with what we are doing within our systems. That's the only role that I know that the American Library Association plays in education at all, like in terms of accreditation. So if you see anyone saying that because the state library in Texas decided to not renew their membership with ALA, that means that all of Texas diplomas are all of Texas high school diplomas will become null and void unless you maintain living in the state. Like, I don't know where that, and it started a frenzy on this TikTok, which really made me concerned, because people are like, oh my God, like I'm stuck. Like I'm here with my kids and now we're going to be stuck. And I'm like, wait, like, can we please fact check this information before we tell people? I'm not saying that what they did was good. I don't agree with it at all. I think Texas is a complete shit show right now. But I also don't think we should be telling people that if you remain in the state of Texas and they have the state library decided that they're not going to pay their dues, that means that your child's high school diploma is no longer worth anything outside of the state of Texas. I was very, very confused about that. Now, if this person was specifically talking about, if they start playing too many games with ALA, that some of their universities and colleges may have some accreditation issues, that's a different ballgame. That doesn't mean that your degree is not worth anything. It just means when you go look for a job, your degree is not from an ALA accredited university or college program, which will cause you issues, because for a lot of libraries, that's going to be the requirement if you want a professional librarian position. So Texas at this point, you have to remember that this is This is an election year coming up. We just had the first Republican nominee debate thing last night. I think a lot of this is, let's see how wild we can get to separate ourselves from what the evil liberals have done in the past few years. I do think it is a scare tactic, and I think it's super effective because a lot of people are going to be confused on the role that library it's playing out all over the nation. And Texas is not the Texas State Library is not the first to do, like, leave ALA or make a stand against ALA. I'm like, how you making a stand against an organization that's voluntary? But ain't nobody told you had to be there. That's strange. So even the way that they're disseminating the information is weird, because you're making it seem like it's a requirement to be a part of ALA. And people are making tweets like, yes, we stand with our parents. We're not support. And I'm like, but you didn't have to join. It's not a requirement. I'm so confused by how we are disseminating this information to the general public without giving clear and concise information about what is actually going on, because now this is turning into a scare fest. It is very strange. All of this is strange, and I will say a million times over, I think it's a really dumb move. Like it's dumb, but you can do it. Like it's not against the law. They're not revolutionizing anything. It's just you're not paying your dues. That's like me saying, like, I am no longer paying my gym membership. Like, hurrah! I'm not dealing with the disgusting, sweaty equipment, like, in their face. I mean, that's kind of weird because I voluntarily joined the gym. I don't have to be there. Like, that's a weird thing to kind of like shout to the world as a victory. And it's not really a victory. One, you look foolish because librarians know, well, I mean, it's voluntary, boo. Like, and your librarians can still pay a membership fee if they want to. So it's just another way, to be honest with you. This is just another way to scare people into a frenzy. It's another way to take shots at libraries. It's another way to emphasize that everyone in the state of Texas is not welcome. If you are not the person or fulfilling the role that they want you to fulfill, you are not welcome within the state of Texas. It's to make you feel uncomfortable. It's to make you feel unwelcome. It's to other you. It's to make you feel different. It's to make you feel like your life is not worthy or valued because you don't live by the standards that they, quote unquote, have set forth. So yes, it is very it's not tactful, but it's a smart approach. No matter how ignorant I may think it is on the back end, it is making people who are different from what they believe is to be the right person feel like they don't belong, like they shouldn't be there. And so a lot of people are not going to fact check that. And a lot of people are not going to dive into what ALA is. People are not going to try to get a grip on understanding, like, what does this mean for Texas? What does this mean for Texas librarians? It's just, it's all foolish. It's just propaganda. It's ridiculous. It really is. It's the one thing that I think a lot of people can feel like they can control, which is, this is a symptom of a bigger disease that is infecting this country. This thing that Texas did, the Texas Library, and I keep saying Texas, is not Texas that did it. The thing that Texas State Library did is just a symptom of a greater issue that we're dealing with. And it is an attack on intellectual freedom. It is this need to control what people have access to. It's a need to control what people think, what they say, and how they feel under the guise of trying to protect children. We are raising a generation of kids that are not going to be able to function because they don't know what it's like to be in a room full of people who are different from them. And that is going to bite us in the butt more in the future than it is right now, because you are literally stifling the next generation of humans. And granted, there are those of us on the back end who have kids who are pushing and pushing and pushing, but this cycle of hatred is taught. It's not learned. And so they learned it from those before them. And now they're teaching another generation to hate more, which is why I said this, all of this is just, it's not helping the kids. This whole idea that they did this because they want to protect their children from Marxist ideology, which half of them probably could not define what Marxism is, but that's not even the conversation here for today, because there's a lot of words that I think they couldn't define because they use them incorrectly. Woke, i.e. And Lord knows that's going to be a part of this whole entire debate thing for the next GOP nominee. Woke, 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 woke. I just want to be on somebody's stage and say, well, can you please define what woke is? You tell me the history behind that word. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing here. That's a good point, Olivia. It's scary to think that we have traditionally taught our kids to use critical thinking skills, and yet we have this wave of adults who aren't incapable of being able to think for themselves and use some critical thinking. Like, why would you want to take away an opportunity for your child to know people, respect people who are different? Because when they get out into the real world and when they get into the workforce, even when they go to school, everybody's not going to be like them. So I don't understand what you're teaching your children. What principles and values are you giving your children by saying that you're protecting them from Marxism and gender ideology? I'm just in the vein of mind that, like, honey, if it don't pay me, because that's what they need to be talking about, this economy. Because if it ain't about me getting money in my bag, I just don't care. I couldn't be so bothered about the way somebody else is living their life. That's not my business. But yet, for some reason, it is theirs. This is the strangest thing that I have ever seen. And I think for me, honestly, which is weird, this is the strangest thing I've seen from both sides. Like, both sides. This is the strangest thing I've ever seen, because it's like, okay, I have one side of the argument saying that your diplomas are not going to be worth anything. I'm like, okay, now you're sending people into a frenzy. And when people are asking you questions, I don't know what to tell you. Like, don't do that. And then we have the other side, like, it's a victory. We decided that we are no longer going to be a part of a voluntary organization. You don't stop being a librarian just because you're not a part of ALA. If that was the case, I would have been out of a job since day one. I have never, well, when I was a student, I was, because it was super cheap to be a part of ALA as a student. They cut you a break because they're like, oh, okay, you are financially just kind of in the trenches right now. So I was when I was a student. But prior to that and after that, especially after I had my kid, if it was a requirement to be a part of ALA, to be a librarian, y'all, I'd be out of a job. I'd be on the side of the road right now. I'd be on the side of the road. That's it. Montana. Thank you, Emily. Montana also did this. Like, it's state libraries making this decision. It's kind of like, okay, like, true, you're screwing over your librarians, but this is not a victory. And I don't know how much we should celebrate the fact that you were just saying, I'm not paying my bill. Just literally, you were saying, I'm not paying my bills this year. Hurrah! Like, I don't know. It's this one is probably the strangest headline that I have either been tagged in, or somebody's DM'd me, or something that's been discussed, like, on the job. This is one of the strangest ones where I'm just kind of like, what the hell is happening? And who is giving y'all this information? And why is this being written in the headlines this way? And what's wild about it is, I'm going to do another Google search right now. It's not that many headlines. And most of the headlines are coming from organizations, news outlets that lean to the right, because this happened 4 or 5 days ago. And like Dallas reported it. Somebody talked about it on Reddit. Like it's not, even if you go on TikTok and you look, it's not really that many people talking about it, because I don't feel like people think it's. So Fox News did it. Dallas Express talked about it. Texas Scorecard talked about it. National Review. These are, let's put it this way. This primarily has to do with the main sources that are like reporting this are those that lean more to the right. And their actual library name is Texas State Library and Archives Commission. That's what they're called. That's the group that left, not the state of Texas. But you can tell how the articles are written. Like like Texas cut ties with controversial American Library Association. And it's just kind of like, so this is what it is. So this is maybe where, now I just saw this. So ALA does provide some guidance. This is what I was talking about earlier. Maybe this is what people are getting confused. This article says earlier this year, the Texas State Board of Education voted to reject several ALA policies that would have added certain requirements for a state librarian certification. So that has nothing to do with high school. I just wanted to, like, that was my main concern in hearing that. I was like, I don't want people to think that like that all of a sudden your high school diploma is worth nothing. That your high school diploma is not worth anything outside the state of Texas. Now, when it starts getting down to like ALA accreditation, state librarian, so yes, there is some issue, but that's on the collegiate level. That's on the collegiate. That has nothing to do with high school diplomas. God, I really do hate that was circulating around this shit. I was like, what? High school diplomas? Like, what? Oh, goodness gracious. Wish they listen. We're not even talking about how people co-opt terms and stuff like that. $55. See, this is when I could ball with ALA, okay? Like, that was nothing. When I was a part of my state library association as well as ALA, because the combined fee was cheaper, like to do both at the same time as a student. Oh, it was so easy to do that. But now, like, granted, it is an annual fee, but child, oh gosh, I don't even, it's confusing. It is yeah, and I think we have to be very tactful about how we are discussing some of these decisions that are being made, and understanding also that some of the decisions that more conservative groups are making in terms of libraries right now is to hype people up against libraries. It's not really anything that's going to. It's not like a legal thing happening here. It's not this like, we're introducing a new bill to effectively ban books. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, those conversations are different than this conversation. And putting people's high school diplomas on the line is just kind of like, don't do that. Don't do that. And yes, ignorance begets ignorance in this instance, and it's so unfortunate. I think that I always knew, like, well, not always knew, but as I got older, I understood more about the idea that hate is taught. You know what I'm saying? You don't come out of the womb hating someone because of their identity. It is taught. And so all of this, when people's like, oh, we've eradicated racism. And I'm like, how? When you have people teaching their kids this shit, this is not going anywhere, because as long as you have groups that are willing to continue to teach their children to dislike or not associate with or have issue with someone who's of a different identity, you continue to reinforce those stereotypes about certain groups, you feed into the propaganda that's being spewed out, it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. And then I feel like, I feel so bad for those kids, because some of those kids are going to leave those circles, right? And realize, like, holy crap, what have I been taught? Then they have to deconstruct everything. So you're punishing so many. You're punishing the kids who are in households who are being taught to, we treat everyone with respect. I don't care what someone's identity is. You treat people with respect. You get respect. We don't dislike or hate anyone in this household because of their identity. That's not what we do, right? But also the kids who are being taught to hate, dislike, discriminate those of different backgrounds, they also suffer in the end, not just because they don't get that skill set to be able to work with people who are different, but also because some of them will learn that what they've been taught is absolutely wild, and then they have to do so much work to unpack and unlearn everything that they've been taught. So you're screwing a whole generation of people up. That just, to me, just that makes no sense. It makes no sense. It's wild. It's weird. I don't either. At this point, Texas and Florida both are in a class of their own. If they I'm telling y'all, if it was an option to go to war with the United States, Texas and Florida would raise their hands first. Like, listening to DeSantis last night, well, watching highlights, because I thought mentally I was not going to be able to handle watching the full debate last night. Watching highlights, I'm just I am blown away. I'm blown away. I'm blown away about who's running this country. I might as well run for president at this point, because no experience, no level of intelligence, critical thinking, it's not needed. It's not needed. At this point, my toddler could run the country. Facts. To get ahead of the liberal woke agenda infecting our minds. To archive management for part of their affiliate public. The left is showing saying they don't consider state government big government. They have issues with the federal government. Yeah. That was one of the main topics last night, was like taking down the federal government, the corrupted federal government. Like, what about your corrupted state governments? Like, because some of your states are going ape shit right now, and not near one of y'all is checking them. They are out of pocket and have been out of pocket for the past few years. And I don't know. I just feel like America has definitely run its course with democracy. Democracies, or democratic republic, I should say, because that is the correct description of what we are. They're not supposed to last as long anyway. And I feel like I've said this before, but it's true. Historically, democratic republics do not last as long as this one has lasted, and it's about time for it to collapse. It is about that time. It is about time for it to collapse and for, yeah. Has been put in to not be members of ALA. It's a voluntary freaking organization. Like, okay, your librarians can still join. What are you going to do? You're just not footing the bill to do it yourself, which in my opinion is wild, because these same people, I feel like I read an article last night, these same individuals who are voting to leave are getting funding through grants from ALA. So what are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have gotten money from these same people that you're complaining about. Hi, Lena. Because ALA now is too woke. ALA is nonpartisan. They don't dip in, and people don't understand that standing up for intellectual freedom is not, it should not be a partisan issue. They have made it partisan. But we as librarians know that intellectual freedom is not a partisan issue. It is access to information for everyone. A library is supposed to have something that is going to offend everyone. I know that sounds wild, but that is intellectual freedom. We have something that is going to offend everyone, because we cannot stop access to one person because this offends you. It's the same way, like when I talk about the booktube community, right? And I know that we have our views on certain authors and certain author behavior, and we make the decisions as individuals not to read said authors, right? I cannot apply that same principle in my work environment. It does not fly. So the same way that we have all agreed, not all of us, but a lot of us have agreed, we're not really interested in promoting picking up Harry Potter. It's just not, it's just not a thing. She's not a thing. If a child comes up to me at the library and asks me for the Harry Potter books, I can't not give them the Harry Potter books. I may not like it, but that cannot interfere with my job. That's my thing about it. Intellectual freedom is a non-partisan issue. It's supposed to be non-partisan. I don't care whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent person, whether you don't believe in government at all. When you ask for information, my job is to provide it to you. That's how ALA has always stood, and how they will always stand. Even when Kirk Cameron, who, oh my gosh, you're talking about a man I cannot stand. I cannot stand Kirk Cameron at all, right? Even when Kirk Cameron and Brave Books, if you've ever heard of, don't Google them, because I promise you they infiltrate everything. I Googled them when all this stuff first started, and every time I get on Facebook, all I see is advertisement for Brave Books. And I'm probably going to see advertisement now because I'm talking about it on the internet. Watch me get on Instagram or Facebook, and it's going to be the first thing that pops up. I cannot stand Kirk Cameron. I cannot stand Brave Books. When they decided to have this nationwide live, I don't know if y'all heard about this. Brave Books and Kirk Cameron tried to stage this kind of like library takeover, right? Where they would attempt to reserve library rooms and hold their own Kirk Cameron story times. ALA was like, okay, well, we can't stop you from doing that in public libraries. It's a public building. If you make a room reservation and you do story time, okay. Like, I don't think people understand is the thing that ALA stands up for is we don't believe in hindering someone's access to information, whatever information that may be. There are books that have been banned that, for all intents and purposes, the left has challenged and banned in years past because of racism. To Kill a Mockingbird has been challenged and banned by people who are more liberal because of the racism that exists in that book, the terms that are used in that book. Guess what? Regardless of whether we personally feel like I ain't reading my child, like we ain't not my household, we still don't agree with that decision at the end of the day. So to me, I think I struggle a lot when people um I struggle a lot when people try to make ALA partisan, and this goes for left or right. I don't like when people try to make it partisan, and it's not. Libraries are not partisan organizations. It may seem that way because I think that a lot of people who are more liberal are definitely against banning and challenging books because of how they feel about intellectual freedom. But for ALA and for library, that means nothing. It's not supposed to mean anything to us because you can't be partisan and serve your entire community. It creates issues because then you're going to be favoring one group over another. And the whole thing about it is that you're not supposed to favor one group over the other. But what we don't stand for is taking books off of a shelf just because you don't agree with the contents. That's a rather strange behavior. Um, yeah, screw Kirk Cameron. And I agree. I mean, it's true. It to I have my own qualms with them. Okay. I have my own issues. That's another conversation for another day. I have my own qualms with ALA. I really do. Um, and most people who look like, and I feel like I've said this on a live before too, most people who look like me or are in the same category, if you get my drift here, do have an issue with ALA. They do. Because regardless of how things may stand, librarianship is still a predominantly white, women-led field, and that within itself has its issues. I'm not here to tell you that libraries are perfect or that we don't have problems, because honey, libraries have their problems too. As a whole, though, when it comes down to intellectual freedom, that's not a negotiating factor. That's not a partisan factor. That's not a partisan debate. These people who are not librarians, who have never been librarians, who will never be librarians, have driven this to become a political thing. Education has now become, I think education has always been politicized, but if you're a teacher, agree, disagree with me, I just feel like education has always been politicized, but I think since 2020, it has gotten out of pocket in terms of political involvement in decisions made about education. Sorry, y'all. I'm catching. Let me go scroll back up because I'm missing a lot of comments. And I apologize. My eyes are on fire. I touched something and touched my eyeballs. Oh, okay. So if you want to read a good graphic novel about um how they attacked Sesame Street, it was it's funny because when I read it, at the end, the creators left a note saying like, "Oh, we just wrote this as like a satire." And then they were like, "But then we realized how a lot of what we were writing was actually coming true." And they were like, "Eventually, the only fake thing about this book will be the actual puppets themselves." But let me find the name of the book because it was really, really interesting. And I enjoyed it. If my eyes would just stop burning. God, y'all, my eyes are on fire. Leave it to me that my eyes would start being weird on a live stream because that's what they love to do. I can't tell y'all when I read that book though. That's the funny thing about it. Because let me tell you, my tracking and stuff for this year, You want to talk about trash? There's so many books I read this year I have not kept track of. And it ain't gonna happen. And I'm not gonna even lie to myself. That ain't finna happen. I'm not finna catch up with it now. I don't even think I marked that book as read, y'all. Let me go to my currently reading. I don't even think I marked this book as read yet. I read it months ago. Hold on. See if I can. It's called Survival Street. Survival Street is the name of the book. And I still have it marked as currently reading, which is a whole hot mess. But in reference to that, that is a good graphic novel to check out. You watched it all, Alethea? Oh, goodness gracious. Oh my God, Ashley, 2024. What did I say? What did I say? Listen, what's that guy's name? I don't want to say his last name wrong. He's another businessman where they got, I don't want to say his last name wrong. That's why I'm not saying it. I don't want to, it's one thing about me, regardless of whether I like you or not, I do not like getting people's names wrong. They gunned for his behind last night. They sure enough went and gunned for him. Part of your platform should be paid reading days off. There were people holding positions of power have felons when you and I can't even get it. Yes, literally literally convicted felons. That never. I'm glad you brought that up because I swear that never ceases to amaze me. It never ceases to amaze me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they don't. In Georgia, we had to vote for it. Yeah. Oh, Herschel Walker. Pathological liar, that one. They don't want libraries to have books. Okay. ALA is controversial because they're thinking, yes, intellectual freedom now is a controversy. Make me how they're trying to ban the Bible now too from schools. At this point, you just say you don't want people to read. It would just be so much easier if people just tell the truth and just say you don't want people to read. Just say it. Just say that. They want to run for the federal game. I think maybe they feel like to tear down the system, they must be a part of the system. I don't know. Let's just say you just want that paycheck every year, honey. Just say that, because that would make more sense to me. I don't know. This is a problem because they get their mind. Really? Because at the end of the day, we don't think about cishet couples in the bedroom like that. We see cishet parents in a children's book. They're not sexualized. But as soon as we see a queer couple in a children's book, oh, that's pornography. I'm like, but I'm confused. I was telling my daughter tonight, she was telling me a story, right? And none of it made sense. And I said, baby, can you walk me back and explain to me how we got from point A to point B? Because mommy's lost. Same with this. I'm very confused how we get from point A to point B, how you can have a cishet couple in a book and it's fine, but a queer couple means sex. The math never maths for me. And I try so hard to make it make sense because I want to see things from all angles. But in some of these instances, there is no angle to see it from. Facts. Just say that you are, okay? You can just say that you're still trying to figure out your own identity. There's nothing wrong with that. Identity evolves and changes all the time. And so many of these people are battling their own queerness. And I hate it for them. Because, honey, just be free. Live your life. Live your life the way that you should and deserve to live your life in all of its beautiful queerness, because this suppressed feelings it's not working for anybody. It's and I think about people's bedroom. I listen, because to be honest with you, cis, het, or queer, like, honestly, I don't want to look at people and think about, I wonder what you, I just don't, just, not my cup of tea. I'm not curious. I don't want to know that. Like, that's not a thing for me. And so I always get confused when it's like a thing for other people. I'm like, but why are we even thinking about what these humans are doing in their private personal time? That's none of your business what someone is doing in their bedroom. I don't ask you, what are you doing in your bedroom? Like, because I don't want to know at all. Like, oh, it's disgusting. Imagine if you spent all your time doing that. Hey, Jessica. That's his name, Vivek. Oh my gosh, you're unhinged. Chris Christie said he sounded like Chat GPT. And I said, you know what? That's how you know, like, things have gone completely sideways. And I promise you, when we hit the hour mark, we are sprinting. Okay. We're sprinting at the hour mark. I just feel like debates, even within themselves, have pretty much lost credibility, because it's so much about like bashing and like clapping back at your opponents instead of talking about issues that are affecting the people that you're supposed to be working for. And so every time I watch these debates, I get very pissed off, because I'm like, regardless of how I may vote, there's a chance that whoever I vote for may not be the person that makes it into office. But at the end of the day, you're supposed to be working for the good of all people, everyone in this nation. I don't pay taxes. I don't put money into y'all's pockets unwillingly. Unwillingly. Because if it was my option, none of you bitches would be getting a dime from me. You would be fired. Okay. You'd be standing in the unemployment line, because there's no way. And I said this in the live that I did on Monday, but it is facts for me. It is a way that I feel like I live my life at this point. I am your employer. You are giving me your resume. I am interviewing you right now. The debate is supposed to be your interview. You are interviewing right now to convince me that I should hire you. I should put my bid in to say we should hire this person to be our employee, to work for us. And if you're my employee, I'm HR and I'm giving my money to you. And you don't do your job, which is why I keep telling people, like, wait until my child. I said this on Monday too, but I'm going to say it again. I have a person who I have a special, and some of you who were there on Monday know this already, but for those of you who are not there, I'm going to say it again. I have a special vendetta out for a politician. And I can't do what I want to do because having a toddler creates certain limitations in terms of like how you move around. Because they're just at that stage of life, rightfully so. But just wait. If this politician is still in office, by the time that my baby gets older, I got to get him off my payroll, because I do not pay state taxes for him to engage in the foolery that he engages in, because it makes no sense to me. I am not unwillingly paying taxes. Once again, I am not unwillingly paying taxes to fund the foolishness that most of y'all participate in. As your HR director, I'm ready to fire you. I am ready to fire you, because your evaluation tanks every single year. And so I just don't understand, like, with the debate that happened last night, I'm just kind of like, if these people were in a literal room interviewing for a standard 9-to-5 job, they would not be hired. Because there's no way that you can go balls to the wall the way that they did last night and be like, that was a great interview. I told you because what skill sets did you present that you can trash talk someone else? You didn't give me any type of like history, qualifications that make you the perfect person for this job. It's weird. It's I'm trying not to incriminate him. I really want to get him out of office. So badly. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Any questions about I know that I have talked a little bit about Texas and I kind of delved into some other stuff, but does anybody have any questions about the Texas situation before I engage us in a sprint? Because I don't want to not do at least one sprint. Y'all know I'm at least good for one sprint, but I at least want to do two. Stop it. Stop it. We are not Black voters, but that's always what happens. They tokenize one of us and expect the rest of us to follow like sheep, which some of us do. But that's definitely that's a panel conversation in the making. That is a panel conversation, how they try to essentially pimp the Black vote. It's disgusting. And some of us fall for it every single year. Every single year. But any questions about the Texas situation before we sprint? If you were just here for the Texas conversation and you gotta go and you were just here for that tea, I completely understand. But we are about to sprint because I did say let's talk about Texas and be productive. I just did not want to sit down and film and edit a video about Texas when I was like, I feel like all of my book banning videos at this point in my life have freaking been about Texas and Florida, and I'm about sick of it. I'm sick of talking about Texas and Florida. And I promise y'all, in about 2 weeks, there'll probably be another video going up about Texas because it's just at this point, it's on brand. It is on brand. Can you help me get the hell out of these thoughts, prayers, and a plane ticket? Hey, Whitney. I'm so sorry, love. I really wish that you could. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you know where I live, and that's not great either. So I'm right there. It's not as bad as where you are, but child, oh, oh, because I'm gonna say I have ice cream. It needs ice cream. Oh, I'm sorry, Floor. Have you read The Library of Broken Worlds? Yeah. No, some people know, but not everybody knows. Like I have been having to do a lot of reading for work right now. And not in a bad way. It's not a bad thing, but it's taking up a lot of my time at the moment. Once again, not in a bad way. Just something that I'm working on that I'm trying to get some reading done for. So that's been my primary focus. There's a lot of stuff that I have not been able to touch yet, and that's one of them. I am interested in reading it, but I haven't had the chance to yet. All right, what is everybody reading? Let's start with that while I get this sprint set up. What is everybody reading? I what I do need to read is the newest volume of Something is Killing the Children and House of Slaughter. And I have a stack of picture books that I need to read. Okay, let me scroll up. Hopefully it'll be sooner, Floor. The 2000 Made Me Gay by Grace Perry. Okay. Listen, if I could have if I could do that, I would. Get rid of the entire party ready to be the next. No, it's also another one on my list. I haven't picked up a political book in a hot second. Bands of Mourning Yeah, that live show's tomorrow. Phew, excuse me. I did start that today. I'll probably finish it up tomorrow since I'm off. My heart is a chainsaw. Stephen Graham Jones. The Starless Sea for readathon. Ooh. Redemptor. I haven't read that series in a while. I love both books. Volume 5. Volume 5 and then House of Slaughter Volume 2. The Duchess Effect. Is that the one that just came out, Simone? I hope kids hopefully be up leaving the state. I'm here for family reasons. I get you. It's tough. It is tough. The Last Widow by Karen Slaughter. Thanks, Angelica. I'll take that in a variety of ways. Reading Saint. Y'all, season 4. Good night, Lev. Have a good night. I read Allegedly a while ago. No, I didn't. I haven't read Allegedly. Actually, I haven't picked up one of her books in a long time. Just finished Pucking Around. Yeah. Pucking Around. Isn't that the book that started all of the Kiara Lewis stuff? What an interesting time to be alive and a part of the book community. Oh my God. Nothing towards Emily Rath. I know that she's spoken out about the whole situation, but that was the catalyst for, right? The catalyst for the connection to Hockey Romance, which then led to harassment of said player, which is Killed at Ashes by Jessica. How is that? Reading Red Rising. Okay. Well, have fun tonight at the comedy show. Yeah, I think everybody's like, oh, I just want to read what this book is about. Her Edges, the Elmer's Glue. Jessica, don't get me out of pocket tonight, okay? This is not patron sprints. I cannot show out publicly. Because you will have me talking about Elmer's Glue. It was. That's what I said. Oh, what a time. Oh, what a time to be alive. 750 pages of a romance. Don't know how to feel about that. Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm probably going to read Something is Killing the Children first. And maybe some it's weird the way this presents. And it's weird because I can see myself. Oh, I can see myself because I'm on my other channel. I was like, why can't I see that I'm live right now? That's weird. Like, why would that pull up that I'm live when I'm, oh gosh, I'm off tomorrow and I'm glad that I'm off tomorrow. Because clearly I'm logged into my other channel. No, you're not baiting me. You're not going to bait me. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. Exactly. Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you. Do not bait me. All right, y'all. Happy reading. I'll see y'all in 45 minutes. Okay, how did everyone do? I'll go first while everyone types. I read this stack of things. I forgot I had some picture books that I needed to make my way through. So I read Empanadas for Everyone, Mel Fell. I read Night Owl, Negative Cat, A Boy and His Mirror. I read The Making of Butterflies. And then I read Together We Swim. So that was a nice little 7-ish stack to make it through. I still have, I think, maybe like 2. No, that's a lie. I still have 3 more that I need to make it through. Let's see what y'all did. 6 pages and 57% done with Magic Steps. Finish episode of Bon Voyage. Says made me gay. No, it's too long. This is part of interest me. Okay. Time for bed. Gotcha, Scarlett. Have a good night. Got to page 6 Crimson Cranes. Okay. Ooh, Harrow County. We read that for the Roma Comics Book Club last month. Or this month. It was last month's reading, but we met this month. But not as fair. If I Redemptor, page 89 of Reading About Volume 4. So I think these all have they all have something interesting about them, but let's see. I think that Empanadas for Everyone was interesting because it's about this little girl and her aunt that make empanadas for everybody, but her aunt is serving at the kind of like a food pantry, and so she has to make the empanadas by herself. But it's inspired by the creator's experience. I think she grew up in Queens. Yeah, she grew up in Greens, and I want some greens. She grew up in Queens, and this is her inspiration of like walking through the city and noticing that every culture has their own form of like empanadas. So she meets someone making samosas, someone making Jamaican patties. And so I thought that was a pretty unique concept. And the artwork. I really enjoyed the artwork in this one. I thought it was good. It's really good artwork. And then I think Together We Swim is great for kids who are like becoming more independent readers, because there's not much text on this one, but it's also good for kids who are nervous about swimming for the first time. So I really like this one, but I'm familiar with this author, Valerie Bowling. The Making of Butterflies is a story that was adapted from... What was this adapted from? Mules and Men, about the creation of butterflies. Thought Ibram X. Kendi did the adaptation of that, which I think is... He did another adaptation of one of her stories. My least favorite, believe it or not, is A Boy in His Mirror. I was not a huge fan of this one. It's sad because, let me show you the artwork is really, really nice, right? But I have trouble with picture books that do rhyming and the rhyming scheme feels off. It becomes jarring reading it. And so this one was kind of this one was kind of an awkward read for me. It was the way it was written was clunky. If you're a cat lover, this is perfect. This was drawn in kind of like those old comic book strips that you would find back in the day. It kind of has that style to it, which I think is pretty cool. But this is a little boy wanted a cat, and his parents finally decide to get him a cat. But the cat is a negative cat, and so like the cat doesn't want to socialize with anyone. His name is Max. He doesn't like to socialize. He vomits on the carpet. He eats the flowers in the house. So they call him a negative cat, and so they're about to give the cat away. And the boy is he's not a reluctant reader. He struggles to read, so he reads out loud, and he ends up reading to the cat, and it kind of changes the whole situation, which I thought was pretty cool. Night Owl is so good for kids who love fantasy, who want to be introduced to more fantasy, and the artwork in this one was really good as well. Like, I thought the artwork in this was good as well. With that, and me showing it on camera, like, honestly, does not do it justice. It's pretty. It's really pretty artwork. But fantasy kiddos would love Night Owl. And this one is unique. So Malfell is a picture book that you read it like this, right? It's this bird who's learning how to fly. And so she basically dives off of the branch. And the entire time she's falling down the tree, right? But then it changes. You get to a scene in the book, and it tells you, the book literally tells you. So you start like this, where she ends up underwater, and then you can see that it says turn the book. And so you turn the book this way, and then she is flying up the tree, which I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, in terms of like reading experience, like that one is formatting. That one is a unique one because I don't think I've ever read one like that, which I think is pretty cool. I don't know what would be my favorite. I think the Empanadas for Everyone. I'm such a huge fan of the artwork. It was good. But one that made me laugh out loud, definitely Negative Cat. I also enjoyed, like, Night Owl was cute. It's an owl that wants to be a knight. Yeah, I think that was kind of like my favorites out of that group. I read 2 other ones the other day, which I thought were really cool. So now I have this huge stack that I need that I need to return. Thunder and the Noise Storms. This one was really good. It's a main character that he has sensitivity to loud noises, which I think is really cool. Not like cool that he has sensitivities, but in terms of like representation, because my daughter has sensitivity to loud noises. And it usually depends upon the situation, but she'll put her hands over her ears and she'll run towards me if she's like, it's too loud. I don't like the noise. So he has noise sensitivities and his different things that make him feel uncomfortable. And then his anxiety starts to get really bad. So he calls on his grandfather to kind of help him out with it. And so it's mindfulness, but from the indigenous perspective, which I think it's really, really interesting. I think the creator is Cree, if I'm not mistaken. And so there's some Cree language in here, which I think is great for kids to see. But I was like, mindfulness from an indigenous perspective I like that one. And then the other one that I ended up reading that I did not like, which is so unfortunate, but Frank Morrison's artwork is exceptional. This is Frank Morrison's artwork, right? It is beautiful. I mean, top tier, beautiful artwork. It's gorgeous. See if I can find another spread that's pretty. Because Frank Morrison's work is just unmatched. when it comes to like seeing something like that. To me is just absolutely gorgeous. So this is like, I thought this would be a perfect one because of course this is the 50th anniversary, celebrating hip hop. And this is about breakdancing and B-boys and B-girls. But I wasn't a huge fan of this one because I feel like this would have been better suited as a informational picture book, nonfiction. And it's not. And so it's, once again, the writing in this one is kind of clunky. It definitely would have been better suited as a informational picture book, to be honest. I mean, there's some back matter that is interesting, but I wish that this would have been a nonfiction. The artwork in it it's so pretty. Like, look at that. Like, that is gorgeous, gorgeous artwork. Frank Morrison honestly saved this book for me, but it was not one of my favorites. How are we feeling? How is everyone feeling right now? Everyone doing good? How are we doing? Now I have a stack of books that I need to review. I need to review all these things sitting right here. Yeah, the artwork in it is spectacular. It's gorgeous. Frank Morrison has done some beautiful work. It's definitely giving good times. All right, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I've been on here for 2 hours. I'm tired. Believe it or not, I'm exhausted. So I may just go ahead and call it in. I did my obligatory one sprint. So no one can be mad at me about that. I did see Brooklyn Public Library Special Edition library cards. They were nice. I heard they got a lot of people sign up for library cards because of that, which anything to convince the people to join the public library, especially now in these times, is absolutely great. I did. You're right, Ellis. I did my one obligatory sprint. And so I think I'm going to call it a night because I am exhausted. And I was not expecting to feel like super tired, but it's kicking in now. I finished a nice little stack that I need to review. I probably will review them tomorrow, along with a whole other stack of books that I have not reviewed yet. One of these days, I'm going to get it together. One of these days. I hope people actively use them too, yeah. Consistency does matter. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to call it a night. I probably will read a few more. Oh, so these are the three before I go. These are the three picture books I think I may read before I go to sleep tonight. So I have this one, which is Yellow Butterfly. It's a wordless picture book that was designed by an artist in Ukraine. This book came out, I think, earlier this year. And they took some of the proceeds and they donated them to the Universal Reading Foundation that was sending children's books, or still could be sending children's books to Ukraine. So all of it's in black and white with yellow kind of interspersed in between, which, like Yellow Butterflies, you can kind of see that. So really, really pretty artwork, but it's wordless. So I may read that one. Only a Trenza Away, which is this one. I don't think I've seen. This is the artwork in this one. And then the last one is Pirate and Penguin, which I know nothing about. So this one should be, I think it's a pirate and a penguin trying to communicate with each other, which is cute. But that is all for me for tonight, y'all. I appreciate you being here. I'm sure I will be back with another video soon about Texas or Florida. It's inevitable at this point. But I hope y'all have a good night. Enjoy your weekend, and I may or may not have a video going up on Saturday. We'll see. But I will talk to y'all later. Good night. Yes, Granny's Kitchen is good. I love Granny's Kitchen. It's good. I've read it and haven't reviewed any. I don't review anything apparently anymore. But I mean, I do, but I don't review everything that I'm reading or log it. But yes, Granny's Kitchen is a really, really good one, by the way. Good night, y'all.